Hello everyone, I'm back again. You know the deal by now. We are going to do the Wroclaw Panthers today on their tier list. We got their 10 imports lined up here. Again, I don't want to dilly-dally around, but we're going to do the intro and then we'll get into it. If you're unaware of European League football rules, in the import section you are allowed 4 Americans, 2 either side of the ball, and 6 Europeans that are not of the country of the team's residence. So we're looking at Wroclaw today, which is Poland, so 6 non-Polish European players. This can be distributed anywhere. A good example, I used this last week that helped a lot of people, was Luke Zaradka, quarterback for the Frankfurt Galaxy this year, plays for the Italian national team, has an Italian passport, but started football in America, so that's what nation he is. If you start, that's what country you are. Lewis Thomas, I believe he has a French citizenship, started playing in England. He's English. Doesn't count as a homegrown player for the French team. He is an English e-import player. See this a lot. Siestro as well, wide receiver, was at Hamburg last season as a German homegrown, has Spanish citizenship, goes to Madrid. He is an e-import player, even though he is Spanish. But because where he started, he's an E. So I hope that clears it up. Let's get into it. Let's go some of these Americans out of the way. First, we're going to go with the leader of the offense, Stephen Duncan. Stephen Duncan is excellent. He has such all-star potential, it's unbelievable. We're just going to chuck him in already. He's just great, massive arm, huge frame, fairly mobile for someone his size, can make all the passes. His touch maybe could use a little bit of work, and maybe he's not as developed with his short and intermediate game, but he is an all-star player. And with the weapons around him that we'll get onto, I see no reason why he cannot be an all-star come the end of it. He was on my quarterback tier list. If you haven't watched that one, then I'll put that on the card, but he's overall probably one of the more balanced quarterbacks out of all these. Sometimes he'll make some risky throws. Sometimes someone just throw deep into double or triple coverage sometimes. So maybe his decision making could do some work. But overall, I'm comfortable with him being an all-star level player. I was going to go for a couple all-star players because there are a lot to get through. When it comes to this one, it's a very great import class. Keanu Ebanks, offensive lineman, British. Can play tackle or guard. Best at tackle, but I would have no problem with him at guard. He is, in my opinion, the 1 or 2 best European offensive linemen. He's incredible. He's excellent. Super aggressive. High motor. Can pull really, really well. Has great hands and placement and power. He's brilliant. So I'm excited to see what he does back in Poland. Obviously, he was there. He got an all-star selection. Went to Canada for a bit and is now back in Europe. He spent that half of the year with Paris last season and really showed that he hasn't really missed a beat. So I'm excited to see what he does this season. Again, with Duncan having Ebanks in, it's an all-star campaign all around. He has done it before. He's going to do it again, in my opinion. Let's go for another European while we're here. Let's go for Andrea Botello Moreno, Spanish tight end. Has played all around Europe, played in Hamburg, played in Vienna, played in Paris. He's got all-star selections in every single place he's ever been, and I don't think that ends here. I think he's the best European tight end still in Europe. Him and Beerbauma. You could argue with those two. Beerbauma just went to the NFL YPP. It's Botello Moreno's claim now to be the best in Europe. So for me, another all-star, kind of a lock. He can block. I know some people say that he's more of like a Travis Kelce H-back kind of thing. But no, he can block. He just doesn't really need to. Like, he's such a good receiving threat. And some people have told me that he's not a massive fan of blocking, which is fine. Not everyone is. But when he does engage in the block, he is super, super strong, super aggressive, super nasty, in the best kind of way. So as a receiver, he's top-notch. Maybe can use a bit more sharpness in his routes, but he's just so big that you can't really, in the ball's in the contention, or he's got the ball in his hands, you ain't get rid of it. So for me, he joins this offensive trio in the all-star place. Let's just keep on going with the offense. Matt Cole, a former NFL receiver, he played in quite a lot of practice squads over the number of years. Washington, San Francisco, and New York, just name a few of them. He's a former NFL fucking wide receiver. He's going to probably be in an all-star conversation. And I'll probably put him over here because he's a former NFL fucking wide receiver. It's not that hard to imagine that he's going to be quite good. Maybe he might need to shake off a bit of rust. He might start slowly. He's a special teams guy as well. Like, he's excellent on special teams. Has massive big playability, which is going to be super helpful for everyone in that offense. He isn't the most divert route runner, I think, when it comes to his skill set, but he absolutely can get the job done, and he's going to be able to create separation. He ran a legit 4.48 in his pro day with a 37.5-inch vertical. His bench is 11, which is maybe on the lower end of a receiver, but this is NFL level, So 11 bench is a lot more than some of the other people in this league can attest to. So he is certainly going to be a game changer for this offense, and I think he might be one of the best receivers that Dunker's ever had. We'll wait to see on that one, but we are starting strong with this offense, and it only gets better. Gentry Adams, no matter how you feel about whether he's an A or if he's an E, he was an A when he was in Frankfurt. He's now an E with his Russian passport. It's a very odd situation. I am not involved with the league, so I don't know the decision making, but regardless, he's a very talented running back, and he's fixed his fumble issues that he had kind of in his past. I'm going to put him as starter because he starts over most people. He's going to be in a dual back system with Zozo. And I know I said about in the Prague one with role player and whatnot being if you're in a dual back, Gentry could start at most teams, but having him in is an insurance policy. It's keeping the offense fresh, and it just makes them kind of an unstoppable unit when it comes to you got David, who was the best running back in the league last season with Tomo and Glenn, and then you've got a former NFL receiver. You got one of the best QBs in the GFL last year. You got one of the best offensive linemen in Europe. You got the best tight end in Europe. So it's just really shaping up to be a fantastic season. Otavio Amordem is a Brazilian offensive lineman. Plays inside a guard. He is ginormous. He's 331 pounds, 6'3". He's actually very good in space as well. He's very strong, aggressive, can move pretty well. He can play on either side of guard and actually can space out into tackle if he needs to. He's been in Wroclaw for a while. His hands aren't placed exactly excellently. He has a lot of power and punch, but I wouldn't say his punch separation is extremely abnormal, and I wouldn't say his hands are placed exactly where you need them to be at all times. So there are things he needs to improve on. But overall, I'd probably put him in this kind of role player area. He's going to help with the run a lot. Would I say he's in the top echelon of creating holes for his running backs? Probably not. But he's damn good at doing it. So I think that he kind of sits in as a role player. I think, given his experience with the system and the culture of the team, that he's going to be a very important person going forward. And that rounds out the offense. They've gone for 6-4 ratio in the offensive side. So I kind of think it's going to be hard to stop any of these different options. We'll start with William James. This is like a Leipzig tier list, doesn't it? But we're going to go for William James, a Swedish safety. Also holds a UK citizenship, if I'm not mistaken. He left Leipzig when they dissolved. He went over to Wroclaw, showed that he is an elite safety. He's shredded. And he's a real ball hawk, can make a play on the ball, has great high pointing, good hands for a DB. He's actually played at linebacker before as well in the past, so he has versatility to play as an outsider and nickel. And for me, I think he's starting. I think he starts at most European safeties. I think he probably is one of the best European safeties. So he'll sit right there for me. I don't really see a way that he slows down. Maybe his age. He is 32. He has some mileage on his body. But for me, he hasn't showed that he's going to slow down. So he's also a personal trainer, so he knows how to take care of himself. And for me, I'm going to keep him at the starter level. AJ Wentland's going to be next. You know the deal with AJ, tackling fucking monster AJ Wentland. Again, left the Kings and dissolved, went to Wroclaw, just picked up where he left off. He can tackle anything that moves, he's always the first in. He has good blitz time as well. His pass coverage footwork is an elite. He is a run-first linebacker, which tracks for a lot of people. But he's just better than most people. So I think that he would be another all-star. He's done it twice already in the ELF, and I don't really see a reason why he wouldn't get it this year. He's on a better defense than Leipzig. Wroclaw last season had a really, really strong defense. I think it was underrated. They had some really good pieces, and they've lost a couple of those pieces, granted. But I still think they're going to be fine. And I think that AJ Wentland in that middle linebacker position or inside linebacker position is going to be imperative with William over the top. They've not really gone with the usual traditional route of two DBs. Frankfurt, Jamal Clay, shout out to him on his recent one with the Frankfurt head coach, said about having two A spots at DB and the advantages and disadvantages of that. So for Wroclaw to go in the position of a linebacker is a little out of the norm. Devin Burrell went to Milan following the Kings' demise, which for him was great because his first touch of the ball. I remember when they kicked off to him, I was like, he's going to take it back. Absolutely. I know this is a LeBron James take. I know everyone always says about his mystical powers and predicting the future. I promise to you, I said he's going to take it back. I know he is, because he is such an amazing returner. And he took it back. Got 2 on the Raiders as well. And he's just the best special teams player in the league. And he had more touchdowns and more yards. He has like 1,800 return yards last season. Special teams monster. He's going to be able to get a few more this year. That kickoff rule just suits him perfectly. And I think that as a corner, he could maybe use a little bit. He's a shorter DB. So maybe on these bigger receivers, he could be a bit more physical. He is pretty nasty, but like in a way of he needs to get up and challenge for that ball a little bit more because he is a bit smaller. But he can create turnovers, and he has the best special teams value of anyone in the league. So, all-star for me. Even if it's just as a special teams all-star, he's going to be an all-star come the end of it just because of what he brings to the team. And he's going to end up with more touchdowns than the majority of the league. So it's kind of hard for me to say that he's anything but an all-star player. As DB, he has the thing with his concession for the ball, but he does have a lot of bright sparks as well to his game. So it's not like he is just a special teams guy. Dusan Novakovic is next, defensive lineman from the Panthers last season. He is Serbian by nationality, and when I say he's one of the most underrated D linemen, I'm probably going to do a video on Dusan. His burst off the line is fucking excellent. His ability and movement are really, really good. He's 6'2", 238, so he's on the slightly smaller end as a defensive lineman, but the burst is just something else. He looks like a panther when he's in his 4-point stance. He needs maybe a bit of a deeper rush move bag, but Dusan is most likely going to get a video on his own. For me, I think he's so close to being in this all-star selection, and people don't really talk about him as much as they really should, but I'd probably put him like here. Because he's going to be in a dual back system, I'm going to put him here. Because I think he has absolutely got the potential to be an all-star player. He is that fucking good. So, overall, this Wroclaw team is something else. QB, they got NFL receiver, they got the best in the positions at multiple guys. They've got a good usage of Americans. They've invested in offensive line. They're keeping their star homegrown running back safe because they can just rotate and keep him healthy. They've got safety help over the top, and they've got a DB that can create turnovers and a special teams unit. They've got a lot going on in Wroclaw. I don't see any reason why they don't go on a championship run. They really could. I think they beat Vienna. At the moment, I think they beat Vienna. So, wow. This is definitely the best team that I've looked at so far, the amount of all-star guys and starter guys. I actually have quite a good connection with the Polish team. If any of you don't know, I'm not Polish, but I have 2 Polish sisters. So for me, I would like to see Wroclaw succeed just on a personal level. If you like this one, leave a like, subscribe, nearly 1,000 subscribers, and a lot of my stuff comes from external, on Twitter and Instagram. So just turn notifications on and stuff like that. Otherwise, might not push. I've had a few videos just not really push to people because they view it on Twitter because they're not signed in. It doesn't push it on the YouTube, and then people don't know I've uploaded. So make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn notifications on. This has been awesome. Loving these tier lists. They're great. So thank you very much. See you later. Goodbye.